We are live, everybody. Welcome to the NoDQ review, episode number 87. I am Aaron Rift, the owner of NoDQ.com. Let me introduce our moderator for the NoDQ review. He is Virtue. Virtue, how's it going, man?
It's going good. We are back. We just did one of these on Thursday, and it got such great response because of this coronavirus. We had to come back because guess what, folks? Yesterday, the bombshell was dropped. WrestleMania will not be postponed or canceled. As of right now, it will be moved to the Performance Center in Orlando with nobody in attendance. But we will talk about that tonight at our main event. So first, let's go around the horn and see what's up. Oh my gosh, Jeff Meacham is back on the NoDQ review. This is why I call it the elite panel, because people like you need to make appearances on here. So I'm going to start with you. What's up, Jeff?
It is weird to be here. Like, I don't expect to be here anymore because my availability usually doesn't call for this, because usually when you guys do the review, people are home and they're eating dinner and I'm being loud. But you know what? Everybody's quarantined except my folks. They're at work. So I got an open house. Woohoo!
Well, it's good to have you back. And, hey, we got some critical things to talk about here.
Definitely.
So welcome back, Jeff. Stefan, what's up? You are back once again. You got the setup behind you. What's up, man?
Well, you know me, the cigarette smoking, grass toking, all spoken, the wizard of NoDQ. I love being on this show because we're talking about, sometimes things that get a little controversial, and I love being controversial. I also love dropping F-bombs, so thank God Aaron's got the channel set up for adults only. Jeff?
Question: why is Stefan's label under his name, under his face, the wrong name, Aaron?
Oops, I screwed up. Thank you for pointing that out. We had
Good thing it's live, so you can change it.
This is why Jeff comes along for the ride, because I notice the little things, folks.
Hey, look, Thursday, I believe we're doing a Thursday, live at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on the channel. Stefan versus Virtue, and then NoDQ, great debate. AEW or NXT, which one is better? I can't wait for that. So, Aaron, are you now ready to introduce yourself? Oh, wait, everybody knows who you are. Did you get that fixed? What's up?
I think so, but I'm not sure if I spelled it correctly. Let me know, Stefan, if it's the correct spelling or not, or if I have to fix it again.
Cefan.
Wow, no.
R.
Oh, no, I screwed it up again. We're live, pal.
Stefan R. Oh,
This would have been great if we were originally supposed to do the great debate tonight, but because of the announcement of WrestleMania, we changed it. So
Hey, Aaron.
this would have been hilarious if this was the beginning of the debate tonight.
Aaron,
I
it's
know.
this right here. This
And
right
he's got it
here.
on his shirt.
It's right there
Yes.
on the shirt. For
It's
crying
right there
out
on his.
loud.
All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get right into the first topic while Aaron's doing some technical difficulties. Jeff, first topic, I'm going to go to you because
Elite.
I want to talk about Alberto Del Rio. Like, I don't even know if this guy works or wrestles anymore. He knows shows. He gets in hot water. Remember the stuff that happened his last stint in WWE, his relationship with Paige, and we get a rumor. Somebody throws a little thing out there. Could he be talking with WWE again? Whether he is or not, let's bring up Alberto Del Rio. Speaking of coronavirus, what do you think on this guy? Professional wrestler or legit a-hole? Does he belong in the business? I mean, he's a pretty good worker. So, I want to know everybody's thoughts here on this. What do you think about Del Rio?
Well, I think my view is a little bit skewed compared to everybody else's, and the reason for that is I have been in the past really good friends with Ricardo Rodriguez. I've known Ricardo for years and years. We worked the indies together out here in Southern California, so getting to meet Ricardo or see Ricardo again at Access, whether it was 2011, 2012, but I think it was 2011 when I actually went to Access at SummerSlam. I got to meet Alberto, and he was, at the time I met him, a really nice guy. Now, you've seen over the years where he's, been very outspoken, been, quite frankly, a prick to a lot of people. So do I think that Alberto Del Rio belongs in WWE in 2020? No, I don't. Do I think he belongs in the business? As long as he is, flying right and staying straight and whatever, yeah, he has a place in the business. He is a decent worker, like you said. He has that charisma you need to be a success in this industry. But I think his attitude and his approach to everyday people would not work in a WWE PG environment. So there you go.
I disagree.
Now, Now, Stefan, and you're next here. Here's what I think a guy like Del Rio. AEW started up, and we had these expectations. And granted, we have some great wrestlers over there. We had these CM Punk expectations. I mean, no other wrestler can come in there unless it's like a John Cena with that buzz. And Del Rio could be a great heel. I've talked about Enzo before, right? Because he's hated so much. Del Rio, unlike Enzo, is a great worker, a very good worker in the ring, right? He can work any style, anybody. I think he could be a great heel, and I'd like to see him in AEW. So what do you think? Is this just smoke and mirrors with his name out there? But is he coming back to wrestling in the mainstream? What do you think? Stefan.
Oh, good. Sorry.
Yeah, Stefan.
Oh, sorry.
I said Enzo. I said Enzo, Jeff, but we're not talking about Enzo. So, Stefan, what's up with? What do you think on Del Rio?
Okay, look. There is a difference between being a worker and being an employee, because employee is a much larger umbrella that he is under when he gets under contract with the WWE. I know they call him contractual or whatever, but like he's an employee. Just because he's good in the ring doesn't make him a good employee. I've kept up with certain reports because you hear certain things and people's names get on fire in your head. You know what I'm saying? Like there was a time where Del Rio, like especially right at the end, and right after, and then you hear all these reports about him and Paige and the way he acts in public and things like that. He goes to the independent scene, and then you get these reports of him no-showing events, or canceling at the last minute, that kind of thing, because he thinks he's, bigger than that event maybe. Or maybe.
Now, to be fair, the Lucha Brothers are known for doing that too, and it's not major promotions. I'm just saying that. Just letting you know. Other wrestlers do that as well.
If they're super late, there is a cultural argument to be had, because in Mexican culture there's this tendency to be late, not because it's not impolite to be late if you're trying not to be impolite with somebody, like something's going on, you're having a conversation, like you're doing something else that's running over. It's okay to be late because your last appointment was twice as long as it was supposed to be, let's say. But we're talking about, no showing events. And I'm just saying him as a worker in the ring is not separate from that, because it's under the umbrella of being an employee. And as far as being an employee goes, man, oh my God, with wrestling, it's huge, because you also have your persona outside of the ring, because now you have shit like TMZ and they follow you around. And he is just this fucking loose cannon. Like he's not the kind of guy that you want to have in your company, where all of this stupid shit that he does, especially when he gets drunk, is being filmed. And they're not, because of this.
I think the history of the wrestling business has people full of guys like Del Rio, and if they've accepted other people back, then you gotta. I mean, that's just the way the wrestling business is.
There's a difference back then. Back then, you didn't have everybody walking around with a camera in their pocket. Back then, this stuff could happen, and it would just be stories for books that guys write later. Nowadays, it directly affects your business right after it happens. Because somebody,
I'd love him back. I'd love him back in any major company because of the controversy, and then fans like you would get upset. Aaron, what do you think on Alberto Del Rio? I'd like to actually see him back with Ricardo and the ring announce, and that was his best run, that initial run. You want to see Sheamus with his old music, like that was a good little era there with some of those top stars. Yeah. I'd like that again. What do you think?
Well, Ricardo was definitely a big part of the act, in my opinion, but I think Alberto coming back might be interesting for 1 week, and then I think it would get boring again. Like, I think WWE has a lot of talented people, and they really do not need him. They have such a loaded roster, and I don't think they need to bring that guy back, especially when he's trouble. And to me, he's no Enzo. To me, if WWE is going to bring back somebody controversial, bring back Enzo Amore. That guy I would love to see back. I know Jeff is.
I've been waiting for this for a long time, and I was trying to dodge it with Jeff on the show today. And since you mentioned it, Aaron, we just have a new interim topic here for the show today. So we kind of just glossed over Del Rio, whatever, if he comes back. If not, Enzo Amore, what about him?
Oh my
Can't
God,
find
Enzo
work.
Amore.
He cast as demons. But
I am completely different on Enzo Amore when it comes to coming back.
Aaron, Enzo had 205 Live meaning something. They were doing house show circuits with 205 Live guys when Enzo was there. I know he had problems, but every adult should be able to grow And Enzo's never been given a second chance. Del Rio was. So anything on Enzo, or you just want me to pass it off to Jeff? Because I know he's stewing over there.
Well, I'm sure Jeff has an opinion. Well, so first of all, let's get to a couple of these super chats before we end up missing them. Gabe sent in a $5 super chat. He says, God bless the No DQ guys. Thanks for the content. Keep safe. Thank you for that, Gabe. We very much appreciate the kind words. And then we had a super chat here, which was off topic. I guess we could talk about this real quick. I'm curious to see Jeff's opinion for this one. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. So maybe he can address Enzo real quick. Any thoughts on Enzo? Psycho Jet Black says, what are your favorite Goldberg matches and moments? So real quick before we get to Jeff, I would love to see Enzo now on one of these Performance Center shows because we're not seeing a lot of wrestling, right? Raw had very little wrestling. I mean, one match. Enzo could come in and do some entertaining stuff, make the time go by, but not going to happen. Highly unlikely in all likelihood. Oh, and This Guy Experience with the $2 super chat. Let me get this on here. He says, Jeff is back. Hell yeah. Del Rio, third chance like Jeff Hardy. I'm over it, honestly. And Big G just sent in a $10 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Big G, the man of the hour. He says, just tuning in. Here's to the OG, Jeff Meacham. Thank you for that, Big G, again. So, Jeff, any thoughts you have on Enzo after all this time has passed and your favorite Goldberg memory and moment? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, those of you super chatting because I'm here, by the way, you want to offend me with cash. Second of all, Enzo, okay, again, I'm not a fan of Enzo Amore on a level of the fact that I think the person himself comes off as a douchebag, and I think he needs to be as far away from me as humanly possible. However, I have listened to Virtue's comments over the last however long he's been gone.
You see how he treats his fans, though, Jeff? I mean,
Exactly.
Take that into consideration. Okay.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I've seen how he's treated the fans that approach him as his fans. I don't have a problem with the way the personality of Enzo Amore as the character or whatever. He just rubbed me the wrong way from even in NXT. I didn't like him. I didn't like Cass. I barely liked Carmella when she was with them. So I had to really get over the fact that Carmella had broken away from them, and I actually had no problem with her at the moment anyway. As far as Goldberg, my favorite match of Goldberg's was him and Sarge against Buff and Lex. I thought he was gone forever after that match. So, yeah, I thought, yes, he's finally gone forever. And then WWE bought WCW and shit went.
That's all good.
No, honestly, my favorite Goldberg match, it's going to sound weird coming from me, but it's against, you know what? I would have said Dallas, but you know what? Honestly, it's the match against Hulk on Nitro at the Georgia Dome, because in that moment, there was no bigger moment for WCW, for Goldberg, or for the World Championship than in that moment in front of 40,000 people, because the world title actually meant something again, because Goldberg took it away from the big bad evil Hollywood, and there was an inkling of a chance that WCW might be able to recover from this, stuff that, we now know that, Turner laid down on them not too long after. There may have been a chance with somebody else at the helm besides Hogan, being the big evil, NWO guy. So that moment was really cool. But yeah.
Well,
all right. Well, thank you, Jeff. Now, Stefan, I know you wanted to say something about Enzo, so go, and you can chime in about Goldberg. I personally have no favorite matches. Jeff, that's a good point. The biggest match was Hogan, Georgia Dome. I like the one with Raven, the one with Raven where he put the U.S. title on him. But other than that, Stefan, your turn.
Yeah, I totally agree about Goldberg and Hogan. Like, I was a huge Hollywood Hogan fan, but I was also a huge Goldberg fan. Like, if anybody was going to beat Hogan and the entire crowd still cheer, it was Goldberg.
Right.
So, yeah, that was a moment that, like Jeff said, it was like the top of the title's prestige, and it was a collective sigh almost by everybody, as well as hooray for Goldberg, because Hogan portrayed in that match such the proper heel that you're just like, okay, even though I love Hollywood Hogan and I would be just fine with him keeping the title, he kind of needs to lose this title right now because he's being a jerk. Anyway, as far as Enzo goes, Enzo is money. There was two problems with Enzo. The fact that they put him with Cass, who is about as entertaining as, vanilla ice cream. Like he's super dull, and he was not that great in the ring. His only asset was that he was 7 foot fucking whatever. Enzo,
Which you can't teach.
Can't teach that.
Enzo was money on the mic. His problem was that he was so green in the ring, and they exploited him on the mic so much that it's not like I feel like he never got a proper opportunity to learn how to do shit in the ring that would back it up. And at the end of his time with WWE, granted that wasn't supposed to be it, it really showed how just average to bad that he was in the ring. But when he gets on the mic, you forget all that shit. All the stuff that ended his career, he was acquitted of. All of what you can actually check yourself on the information thereof, like the person accusing him, things like that. Like it all leans to the fact that the worst thing he did there was he cheated on, who was it, Carmella? Or who?
No. Cass with Carmella. Enzo was with somebody else.
Well, whatever it was, he cheated on her. That's the worst thing he did there. Like that's what it all points to. I'm not saying but it was thrown out. So legal regard, like I guess for them, the worst part was that he didn't tell them all of this was going on, but he didn't do it. And so like they should look past that and be like, oh, well, he knew this was all going to get thrown out and nobody was going to have to worry about it because he didn't do it. So maybe they should allow him to come back, and they should put him in NXT and force him to learn how to back up his shit in the ring, and then bring him back and like let him go, like see where this guy can go.
He sold a hell of a lot of merch. And look, I keep going back to AEW. I just feel like they need good heels, because anybody that comes in there that's not a worker are going to get booed out of the building. You can work. Imagine Enzo versus Orange Cassidy. Dude, I'm just saying money still happens with heels versus villains. But more importantly, let Enzo be a manager, right? But that's just my thought. Jeff, you want to add something before we move on?
Yeah, just kind of go off what Stephen was saying about, he should be brought back because he was acquitted of everything. You got to keep in mind, it's different for Jerry Lawler to be accused of something in 1993 than it is to be Enzo to be accused of in 2000, whatever it was, 17, 18. A little different world we live in. Unfortunately, I'm not saying you're wrong, but it is a different world we live in now, 25 years later. So.
And for those of you not paying attention, Enzo has worked a couple good indie matches against Brian Pillman Jr. I've seen him. And sure, maybe you could say Brian Pillman carried him, but I'm just saying there's value to the business there. He does have a fan base. But let's move on here, because the rest of the topics are all going to intertwine with each other. First thing I want to talk about, is there any positives that have come from these empty arena shows at the Performance Center? We've seen 2 so far, SmackDown and Raw. They actually break away from the show, and they're showing pay-per-view clips, an hour and a half worth of the Royal Rumble this past week on Raw. But is there any good coming from these shows doing this in an empty Performance Center? And the reason why I'm saying this, because our main event, we really have to dissect what WWE announced. So, Stefan, what's your thoughts here on these first 2 Performance Center shows? A lot of people saying awkward. So, go.
You're not going to like my answer. I haven't watched them. I have not watched them. I am weeks behind on Raw and SmackDown. I only watch NXT and NXT UK, and I did watch the pay-per-view. I did watch Elimination Chamber. But even before they had to stop doing it in front of a live crowd, I stopped having reason to watch. I don't need to. I made it through the pay-per-view just fine. And honestly, I think with all the shitty build-up for the prior 2 weeks to the pay-per-view, I probably enjoyed Elimination Chamber more than some people.
Nice. Well, so hey, nothing against you, but I don't watch NXT UK. So we all have too much wrestling. There's too much wrestling out there. We can't possibly watch it all. Aaron,
well, I can let you know tomorrow. Yeah, I can let you know tomorrow what it's like in an empty arena, because hopefully NXT will be broadcast in an empty arena tomorrow. But I have not watched it yet, so I assume it's a little bit awkward, but there's ways around it. It's just The Rock versus Mankind. They worked around it by it just being like this giant place for them to go everywhere and wrestle. In this case, the crowd is like another actor in this show. Every match, the crowd is supposed to be, the third member of the match, or fourth or fifth or whatever it is. they're supposed to be the extra guy, and they're not there now. And so what are these guys in the ring doing? Who are they talking to? Like, they have no reason to taunt anymore. Like, they're just in there fighting, but there's not even, other than the people at home, like, there's no reason to make it like a showmanship. I don't know. I expect to see some big things out of the guys in NXT, though, because they're probably used to wrestling in front of barely anybody anyway.
So, Aaron, what's your thoughts on these shows without the crowd? I mean, I know you've said you need that crowd sound as being part of the show. So what do you think so far with these two, knowing what we have to talk about in our main event today?
Well, going off of what Stefan said, I think of it like a TV show that is known for its soundtrack. And imagine one day that soundtrack is completely gone. It's a void. It's definitely a void. Now, the wrestlers, unfortunately, have not been given much of a chance, it seems. On SmackDown, they aired that Elimination Chamber match, and we had a lot of promos, not much wrestling, and we had even less wrestling on Raw. My concern is WrestleMania at the Performance Center. If WWE is not confident putting matches on television, how are you going to do it at WrestleMania with 9 or 10 matches going on 4 to 5 hours? That is my big concern at this point, how that's going to play out. And if WWE is not confident about it, then how can the fans be confident about it? The show's a mixed bag for me. I mean, I did enjoy SmackDown more than Raw. I thought Triple H did a great job, and he was very funny. Raw, half of it was that replay of the Royal Rumble. What we did get was not much as far as wrestling goes. Edge's promo was really strong, and I think the promos overall have been pretty strong. As mentioned in the chat room, I feel like the wrestlers could be heard better and they were a little bit more focused. Sometimes the crowd noises when a guy is cutting a promo, it can throw them off, especially if they're not a great promo. Raw's numbers did go up. Both Raw and SmackDown went up. I don't know if that's going to hold. I think there is a concern that if WWE keeps... Jeff, you seem to think otherwise. So what are your thoughts on it, Jeff?
I think the numbers went up because people are curious as to what is going to happen. I think they were initially curious about how it was going to come off with no crowd and how it was going to look, how it was going to sound, how it was going to be presented. And you guys brought it up. They showed the Chamber match on Friday and the Rumble last night or on Raw. So they had to fill that time. They took half of that show last night on Raw with one match that was a rerun, if you will. Because I had people complain. I heard some people on Twitter, were making it very clear that if they wanted to watch a rerun, they could still go turn on the network and not spend an hour and a half on USA Network. So, and honestly, the Rumble wasn't an hour and a half match on pay-per-view. It was an hour match. They just, the commercials just dragged it on forever. So, I would say that I'm not a fan of the way they've been presented so far, but I don't know any different from what we've all grown up with, which is the crowd, feeding into the people. You got to understand something. It's different for other sports now in 2020. Sports broadcasts are produced with us in mind, not the live crowd. Yes, they have halftime show at Super Bowl. Yes, they have different things, different things. But for the most part, the live shows, sports-wise, are produced for the home audience. Wrestling, specifically WWE, yes, they are produced for television, but they also have that live crowd to feed in and give that sense of aura, if you will. The NWA has done a very good job so far with, the studio crowd, but there's still people in the GBB studios. This empty arena stuff, it was decent on SmackDown. It struggled on Raw, especially the Stone Cold thing. And the other thing was the worst thing I've seen Stone Cold do in years. It was just flat out god awful. I don't think it's going to hang on April 5th. I think it's going to be a complete train wreck, personally. And I think Stefan disagrees with me on a few points here. So I give it for you, sir.
No, I have a solution. And I have to credit Aaron for this one.
Okay.
My solution for this goes back to a question I had for you, I think, on that episode where you did 100 questions. And it was, now that they've got, all of these graphics that are in 3 dimensions for these cameras, now that they're doing all this. Oh, no, I said, now that everything's been turned into an LED board, what's next? And he said, the audience that isn't there, instead of tarping off the third the third row, they put LED boards up there and pretend there's an audience. No, my idea is because I originally had the idea of doing the fireworks with the 3D graphics, so instead of having pyro back, you just have it look like pyro for the crowd or for the audience at home. Put the crowd in, have a canned crowd, put a digital crowd in around the ring, and do it digitally with those because they can do it. They have a giant fucking pit bull head above Roman Reigns when he comes out. They can put a crowd from one of these 2K video games around the ring. They can in some crowd cheers. They can make Roman Reigns have the exact reaction they want. And everyone will forgive them because of this fucking virus, man.
Yeah,
everyone
that's a good point.
They'll be like, you know what?
I tweeted that
this
earlier
is better
today.
than nothing.
Yeah, I tweeted something similar about that earlier today. So WWE has all of the technology. Like if they really wanted to, they could maybe do something like that, right? They have the money, the unlimited budget. Let's talk about AEW now. Now, Tony Khan's rich. They throw him a lot of money around. They got to do studio recording, private recordings now for Dynamite. How is this going to affect them? We know WWE is going to continue to do whatever they need to do to have Raw and SmackDown and even NXT on, whether it's cutting back to old footage, having interviews, because they got their big-time TV deals. AEW has one with TNT. So how is this going to affect them for several weeks, knowing they have to do this? Because if they do exactly what WWE did, we're thinking, you're just copying, but there really isn't much choice. Jeff, what do you think about AEW now having to be in this situation? We haven't seen a show yet with no crowd from them, but tomorrow night.
I think AEW, and it's funny, I'm going to harken it back to Vince here, so bear with me here. I think AEW is in a similar situation as the new XFL was. Because somewhere in Stanford, between these closures of sports events and the closures of wrestling stuff, Vince is crapping his pants, okay? He's completely losing his mind. Tony's going to be even worse, as is the elite. They're like, oh my God, no live shows for 2 months or whatever. According to, Supreme Leader, it's going to be up to July and August. We're not going to have any stuff going on. So, again, what are we going to do for 4 months, without live television for AEW or for, Ring of Honor closed through the end of May. So as far as doing live events. So this is going to be a very interesting time in the business in general. I had a comment back and forth with Adam Pierce earlier today. He did a Q&A on Facebook, and he said, this is unprecedented in the history of modern America and really the modern world. This is something that has not happened in our lifetime or even our parents' lifetime, if we're going to be really honest about it. So, this is some serious stuff. And I think that, all these companies, AEW, the NWA trying to rebrand itself, Ring of Honor, everybody's trying to figure out what do we do here, because a good chunk of our business is live events. And we can't do live events. We can have more than 10 people in a room. So I think that AEW is going to struggle. I am a fan of AEW. I've been not quiet about my love for the Bucks and for Cody and everybody. I've been friends with these guys over the years. I think they're going to struggle, but I think they will survive. And I think that if we can just get through, whatever it is, end of July, early August, and just, focus on whatever product they put out and try to allow ourselves to be positive about it, I think they'll give us positivity back in the product that they have to put out. So hopefully.
Gotcha. And it's a good point. Aaron, what do you think now with AEW? We kind of heard somewhere that they're going to be doing a closed session show, right? Because they don't have a choice, can't have a crowd. Right. How do you think this is going to play off for them? Are they going to mirror image maybe, but with more wrestling and just say, let's just do the matches? Who cares about the awkwardness? What do you think AEW is going to do here?
That's pretty much what I'm thinking, what you just said. I feel like they're going to give it a shot. They'll probably go all out with the wrestling, try to do as close to what they were going to do originally as possible, and hope maybe they get a better reaction than WWE. It's definitely a tough spot for AEW. No doubt WWE's in a rough spot, but at least WWE has the financial background and the backbone behind them to really support what's going on here and keep things moving along as best as they can. AEW, yes, they do have Tony Khan and the Khan family's money, but they're a new company, so it's going to be really difficult, I think, for them to keep their momentum going. They've been pretty hot. So this could be a real struggle for them. There was one suggestion in the chat room of them maybe airing some pay-per-view matches, which could work out nicely for them since those were traditional pay-per-views. You know, with the WWE matches, we could just go back and watch them on the network anytime. So it's not like it's as big of a deal as the pay-per-view matches, which unless you put down $50, you probably did not see the match unless you went on some site and downloaded the match. Now, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. He says, "What if Santa Claus is the exalted one? Ho, ho, ho." Yeah.
Santa Claus is an NoDQ employee. We already established this.
Yeah, right. Santa Claus, he's Team No DQ, so we're not lending him out to AEW.
Dude, Matt Hardy needs to go there because right now they could do several shows from his backyard. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't know, but So, Stefan, I know you're an NXT guy. What's your thoughts here on how this coronavirus is going to affect AEW?
Well, what AEW has going for it, even though they don't have the financial, backup of a corporation that's got their feet in so many different areas that, like the WWE corporation, it would take a lot for them to crumble. Meanwhile, AEW's backer is, again, live sports. It's an owner of a football team. Like, they don't have anything going on right now either. His funds are going to be slashed considerably, and it's probably going to come from both ends. But what they do have, creativity. This is a company that kept the brand alive. They launched the brand and kept it alive for months before their first show, for months in between pay-per-views, for months before their very first, show on TNT. They can do this even if they're trying to fill 2 hours of programming on Wednesday nights. They can do it without resorting to a match in an empty arena, I feel like.
And we're going to have to see. Like I said, man, this would be a great time to sign Matt Hardy. Aaron.
Okay, so Christopher Mace has a $2 super chat directed at Stefan. Thank you, Chris. He says, "Stefan, how bad does the virus hurt NXT UK?" What do you think, Stefan?
Okay, so NXT UK is going to be fine for the next few weeks because they've already had their recordings and they did it in front of a live crowd. We saw the first hour of probably 4. They probably did it 2 nights, 2 hours apiece. We usually see 4 shows out of each venue. So they're going to be fine for the next 3 weeks. And then after that, hopefully the quarantine has been lifted for them to record another show so that we have, again, a live audience. Or they're going to have to do what everybody else is doing. But the good thing with that would be they probably take it a week at a time. That way, hopefully, if it only takes 1 week, they have one show where it's an empty crowd, and then the next show is the start of a brand new set of recordings. But for the immediate future, for the next month, they're all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a friend that lives out in Stephenshire. She says they're just now starting to crack down on them. So in theory, they should be okay.
Now, real quick here, I just wanted to add, I think for this first week, AEW will be okay. I could see them doing some kind of crazy empty arena match. John Moxley, he's known for that kind of thing. Like, Moxley should come out there and say, since we got an empty arena, let's take advantage of this. Who wants to face me for the world title?
Jericho, rematch.
Yeah, they could do that. So at least for 1 week or 2 weeks, they'll be okay. Well, 2 weeks they got the blood and guts match, which is actually next week now. So I would like to see that at the Hardy compound. I think that would be the perfect opportunity to do it. If you're going to do that, something with a Hardy compound, this is the time when you cannot run a show in front of a crowd. John,
there's never time to put a double cage with a ring with with a War Game style match and a Hardy compound. That's gold.
Dude, I mean, and think about it, they did this Hardy stuff 3 years ago now, and now it could really mean like this is what saves like wrestling for the next month, like nuts. What a visionary Matt Hardy is.
Oh yeah.
Now, John just sent in a $2 super chat, so let's go ahead and read that one off. He says, "Screens of people at Mania for some kind of React, ? I could see WWE doing that one day. I'm not sure they have the technology to pull it off just
I think
yet.
they do. Well, remember, they're doing it in the Performance Center. So they have 3.5 weeks to set up all of the Trons that they possibly can, around the Performance Center. And here's the kicker. You know, all these companies that are doing these special things out of goodwill because of the virus, there are going to be tons of venues in Tampa Bay that are going to get canceled, but all of these companies are going to lose their deposits on. What if WWE swoops in and buys up all the venues, gets these wrestling companies out of the dark water down there, and so that they can break away clean and make some 50-person venues, space people out, but enough so that you can get reactions, and then as many as you can, you have each of those venues up on the Tron, 50 people at a time.
Yeah, because is there still a limit in certain areas, like under 100, under 50 or less? Like, God, some heavy logistics would need to be done, but man, could they manipulate the system? That would be fantastic.
Yeah. And they'd be very Vince-like to do to manipulate that system just like that.
Right.
Who cares? At least it's better than an empty arena.
Oh, no, I agree. It's a freaking brilliant idea.
And you've got so many people that have already spent tons of money that are planning to go down to Tampa, Florida, and now they can't. But if you did this, they could. You could conceivably get, I don't know, 500 people. If you had 10 venues, you had 20.
We're going to dive
over again, man. Closed circuit.
We're going to deep dive into this whole WrestleMania thing. But Aaron, before we go to the one more buffer topic, you got a super chat that just popped up?
Yeah. Now, Detective Mocha with a $5 super chat says, AEW needs to acknowledge the virus and do a show that is fun around it. WWE's problem is they act like everything is normal, ... Stupid. Stupid. Yeah, I agree. WWE's trying to act like the coronavirus isn't a thing, you know. It's an unfortunate incident. So, yeah, I think AEW should take a different approach and just say, you know, the coronavirus, we wish everyone well, but we know in this time of uncertainty, people want to be able to forget about what's going on and they want some entertainment, so that's what we're here for. And just maybe take a little bit of a different approach than WWE. Boston Punk just sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you guys for the super chats again. He says, do you guys see this having an adverse effect on WrestleMania in Boston? Already got my tickets to bring the kids. I do think
SummerSlam.
I do think SummerSlam will go on as scheduled. I think this will be resolved by then. I do think you guys could possibly get the Hall of Fame. That's the rumor right now, according to
Great
Davey
segue.
Smith's daughter.
Yeah.
She brought up how they might be postponing it until the SummerSlam weekend. So yeah, this might be a big event that weekend for the fans in Boston. But anyways, Virtue, what do we got next here?
That's our next topic. So NXT, WrestleMania now is moved to the Performance Center. Still going to happen on April 5th. NXT TakeOver is now postponed indefinitely. That was going to happen WrestleMania weekend, and the Hall of Fame. So those will not happen if this show at the Performance Center does happen. So Aaron, since you just brought this up, you mentioned that would be great. Move the Hall of Fame to SummerSlam weekend. What about NXT? With a takeover, sure, you won't have it wrapped around the WrestleMania weekend, but, you know, NXT will be okay. There's been takeovers not tied to pay-per-views before. So what do you think about these two shows just basically getting moved completely, and they're only going to focus on worrying about Mania?
I think that's fine. I think that NXT being moved, I'm not sure what you do with the TakeOver pay-per-view because you got those storylines built in. Could you really just delay it? I've heard one rumor about NXT possibly just being a special show on Wednesday night. Although the interesting thing is that this week's show is apparently going to have no matches. All the more reason for AEW to do the opposite. Do what they usually do, have the long matches, and see what happens. We'll see if it makes any difference. If NXT just does promos and shows old footage and whatnot, if AEW does matches and tries to do a normal show, we'll see what people are more interested in watching. So it's going to be a very interesting week for sure. Hall of Fame, you have no storylines here, so really you could just delay it whenever. There's been talk, and I'll bring this up here from Mike D. Mike D sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, the new rumor is WrestleMania will not be in the PC and might be at Madison Square Garden in June. I would be surprised if that happens, but I mean, anything can happen. I mean, this whole situation changes by the day, and who knows what's going to happen? I mean, I think most of us would agree that WWE should postpone until they can do it. But also at the same time, you don't know if June 7th will be allowed by the government.
Yep.
Who knows? It's all a big question mark right now. I'd love to see WrestleMania at the Garden, even if it was at the Performance Center. Like, I'd like to see fans there. Like, even the Performance Center, yes, it doesn't have the WrestleMania vibe, but some fans there I think would be better than none. So yeah,
There's a problem. There's a problem in storylines, though. Some of these storylines are meant to be resolved at WrestleMania, and if you're going to put WrestleMania off for several months, you're going to either have to keep these things going for that amount of time in front of no audience, mind you, or you have to end them early, not call it WrestleMania, and then now you've got however much time to build up new storylines for new matches for a new WrestleMania at some other venue.
yeah, that's
So what do you do?
WWE's in a
Go ahead,
really
Aaron.
WWE's in a really tough spot with this. Like, the problem with postponing, of course, is you got all these storylines in place. So what do? Do you try to just have the matches take place and then do a new card for WrestleMania, or do these matches and do some kind of pay-per-view in the meantime, like a special event with some matches to keep fans satisfied? Like, what do you do here? How do you stretch it out? It's a really tough spot. I mean, I don't even know what to do at this point. Like, it's really hard to say, and everybody's got their own opinion on it. But WrestleMania just doesn't feel like WrestleMania in an empty arena in a gym. It just doesn't. So,
of the family members, the people that need to be there in order to hold the event. For all of the shows, you'll be able to have all of the people you need there for the shows. Just acknowledge that this is something that's going on and that something outside of the box has to happen. Otherwise, the shows are just going to be ridiculous. Wrestling doesn't make sense in front of no audience. At the very least, an LED board, bunch of people's faces or whatever. Like, you can put 50 people in a room, set them 6 feet apart, take one big picture, and then you block off each person. And then you stick them together on a big screen, and you've got everybody's reaction. And you do that for however many places that you can fill up with 50 people. You do whatever you can. And in this case, I feel like that's the only thing you can do to save it from both directions. You could postpone it and get a live event, but what are you going to do with all these storylines? You can wrap up all these storylines, but who are you going to do it in front of?
So you think NXT and Hall of Fame should take place the same weekend WrestleMania does?
Yes.
Right now they're not.
Everything should go on as planned, and they should take meetings to do what they need to do. And in this case, it seems shitty. It seems like a really weird way to watch the show, but I guarantee it's going to be better than an empty crowd.
Okay, Jeff, I know you haven't talked in a while here. What's your thoughts on Hall of Fame NXT completely not going to happen the weekend of WrestleMania now?
Well, I like the comments in the chat room as I'm watching along here. So let me just quickly. First of all, I like the idea of postponing everything in terms of, we shouldn't be hankering to get this many people together. Just, cold break, reboot. I hate to think reboot. And WCW had an idea when they were getting ready to, be bought by Bischoff and the consortium. But that may be the way to go as far as that's concerned. I also like Caitlin's comment. The bells are going to be about ready to freaking pop come SummerSlam, man. They're going to be so pregnant. They're going to be able to get on stage come August, okay? So let's give these two a freaking throw them a bone here. Holy shit. So I say do TakeOver with Stefan's idea with the LED boards. And I think that whole thing just screams brilliance. And I am all about that. And Vince, I know you're not watching because you don't care about me anymore. But, do that shit. Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame can be done. We had this, Aaron and a few people had this discussion on Facebook yesterday. If you invite the inductees, have one host, have a couple of people that are also there do the inducting, for the NWO, have Hunter do the inducting because he's part of the clique, or have Shawn Michaels do it because he was part of the clique or whatever. If you can keep it down to the inductees, inductors, a host, and the immediate families, you're under 50.
yeah.
Yep.
Now hold on a second here.
If by chance somebody's listening to my Tron idea and they're like, "Oh, that's brilliant, let's do it," I've got a new one for you because this is going to bypass even this generation when technology gets to the point where you no longer have to have live shows. You broadcast them from the same studio that's got all the cameras wired for this. And the camera at home, your phone at home, when you're watching the WWE Network, scans you and puts you in the show, whatever seat you want, or you can just watch it, with the cameras. And everybody that you see in the show is being digitally put there from their couch at home, their chair at home.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
If I could go to a show at the Garden and be in my pajamas, I would pay millions of dollars. I really would.
You would get legitimate reactions from people that feel like
we're ready to dissect here this whole WrestleMania announcement yesterday. Aaron, before we do, what do you got?
All right, so Sticky B with a $2 super chat had an idea for the so-called crowd. Why not have the heels on one side of the ring and the faces on the other side of the ring? The thing is, so here's the situation. Right now, apparently, you can only get 50 people in the building at one time, and maybe even 10. I'm not even sure what the exact law is in Florida right now. And I feel like what they're doing is, with Raw and SmackDown, they're just letting the bare minimum amount of people in that building. So if Daniel Bryan has to wrestle, he comes into the building, does his match, and then he leaves the building. Next people come in. I think that's how they're doing it right now. So I don't know if they could do that. Otherwise, that would be interesting to have the wrestlers as the audience and have them making noise and the faces cheering on the baby face and the heels cheering on the heel. I like the idea. I just don't think they can actually pull it off right now because of the regulations. But yeah, that would be another option. So anyways, Virtue, what do we got next?
So last week I talked about, if it couldn't be in the open stadium with 90,000 people to go into the Performance Center. Obviously, I was thinking Full Sail, which is bigger, but they're closed. Fill the small venue to even capacity. So that was my original idea, right? Do it in the Performance Center. Last week it was Full Sail. Fill it out with as many people as you can, but you can't have more than 50 people. That would have worked if they would have put the whole show on Fox, because you can say watch it on the WWE Network. This insurance claim purpose, we don't know. This is all speculation, because you have to make an attempt to still do your thing, right, to collect the insurance package from this. And I just have a feeling it was announced at the Performance Center to make it look like they're attempting to still do the show, but ultimately it'll get canned. They're hoping Orlando says, nope, complete quarantine, we can't do this, and they will postpone everything later in the year. That's what I think. I don't think this is going to happen. If it does, it will be absolutely nuts with nobody there. Watch Raw last night. Edge cut some of the guys can cut great promos in that arena, but the matches just are suspect. Even if the guys are working good and the girls are working good with each other. Taker looked awkward last night. Austin looked awkward. They were doing it because they're company men. Jeff, what is your thought here on this Performance Center announcement? I just cannot see it happening now unless they can do a fake crowd or actually get the okay in 3 weeks' time to have at least 300 people in there. The wrestlers need reactions for a big show like this. And there's just nothing special about it. I think it's a ploy for insurance purposes. I don't know. What do you think?
First of all, the Edge promo last night was brilliant because he cut it into the camera. He looked right in the camera the whole time and spoke to me, spoke to you, spoke to nobody in that arena because there wasn't nobody in the arena to speak to. Much like Becky Lynch's promo, much like the promos on SmackDown. Well, I know SmackDown's promo were really kind of awkward, especially Sasha and Bayley. That was just awkward as hell. But having the promos done in an empty arena is a completely different thing from having the wrestling done, especially WrestleMania. WrestleMania, over the last 15, 16 years, has become a destination, even more so, has become a destination. You got to remember, they started doing the stadium shows, the big stadium shows, after 2000 when they had it here in Anaheim. The next year, they were at the Astrodome. For the most part, ever since then, it's been a destination where, it's become a whole big week-long thing. So to not have that environment for WrestleMania is going to be catastrophic for their business. I do, however, agree with with the insurance rumor going around. I think that's 100% true. Somebody mentioned it in the chat room. I saw that, and I am all in on that. Vince is trying to find any way to make sure that somebody else besides him pulls that trigger. Because once he pulls that trigger, he loses all kinds of money. And I tell you why he knows that. The WrestleCon folks are in some deep, deep battles right now, deep shit with the Marriott folks. Because Marriott's saying, well, all these rooms, you owe us over $100,000. And WrestleCon goes, wait a minute, this isn't our fault. So if Vince does the same thing, he's out millions. As Darren and Tyus would say, millions of dollars, man. They're out all kinds of money if he's the one to say, I'm not doing this. If he does his due diligence to move the show, and the city goes, nope, then he's like, well, I tried. I did what I could.
Right.
So
I think he gets some kickback from his insurer, because you got to insure big events like that in case of a disaster.
Yeah. There is no way Raymond James was not insured heavily going into last night, okay, or whatever the case may be. So there's definitely money going on around here that we're not supposed to know about, that's being, discussed and, turned around or whatever. So it's a brilliant move by Vince if that is in fact happening. As far as my own personal thoughts about WrestleMania being in the PC, unless they can pull off Stefan's idea and really make it sound like there's thousands of people inside that little PC arena, it's going to come off like a goddamn clusterfuck. And I completely disagree with that happening.
Yep. So, Aaron, what's your thoughts here? You're the man of the hour here. This is your channel. People have been listening to you and Jeff for 20 years. Go.
Well, first of all, the whole WrestleCon situation, I feel so bad for them with the event being canceled and the whole Marriott issue. You saw Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens stepping up to bat and defending WrestleCon, and hopefully WrestleCon's able to get through this situation and keep running their events. They've become a big part of WrestleMania. I've had a lot of people tell me they enjoy the non-WWE stuff as much, if not more, than WrestleMania itself. So,
I was looking forward to it next year.
Yeah, best wishes to WrestleCon and everybody there. Hopefully they're able to get off the hook on this financial situation. It very well could be a scenario where Vince McMahon feels that the Performance Center WrestleMania will be shut down, and then WWE will be able to collect insurance money, and they'll just postpone WrestleMania. They'll do it if they have to. I think whatever decision Vince is making, he's trying to look out for the best interests of his own company. So whatever he's doing, he's thinking, what's best for my company? What is going to result in the most money being saved for the company? Because, they're going to lose something out of this for sure. It's just a matter of how much. Yep. I don't think he's really thinking about I think he is keeping in mind what is best for the perception of WWE. Like, if you do WrestleMania at the Performance Center, it doesn't look good. What are you going to do? Are you going to show all these highlights like Hogan body slamming Andre, Austin in the sharpshooter, and then Drew McIntyre in an empty gym winning the world title? Like, it just doesn't work. So I'm sure Vince is keeping that in mind, but it's the bottom line. He's thinking about the money and what's going to be best for his business moving forward and how to get out of this with the least amount of damage. So whatever happens. Going to be a very interesting couple of months for sure.
Now, Stefan, what's your thoughts on this? Oh, Jeff, real quick, you got something?
I'll go, Aaron.
Stefan, just too bad, it's complete, quarantine, or more or less 50 or less. WrestleMania 7, right? They couldn't sell tickets to the Coliseum, and they ended up doing it in the arena, right? And it still played off pretty good. Slaughter, Hogan, Warrior, Macho. They just don't have that option for an arena. They can't even put 300 people that we know of in the Performance Center. So, Stefan, what do you think here?
So, in this scenario, the bad thing is you've got these storylines, but worst case scenario, you end the storylines however you can now, and now you've got 2 months to build better storylines for the actual WrestleMania. So, postpone it.
You think it'll happen or it won't?
If it gets canceled, they're going to postpone it. He's going to have his WrestleMania this year.
Yeah.
No, I know, but I'm saying, do you think it happens on April 5th from the Performance Center?
It depends. As of now, yeah, that's probably what he's trying to do. He's trying to have WrestleMania however he can when it's supposed to happen, because these are the matches that he wanted to be at the biggest show of the year. And if somebody's not thinking like I was, then they're not doing their job. There are things that can be done. Otherwise, it needs to be postponed, and it might very well, like Jeff and you said, get postponed by Florida.
Yep.
Nothing.
I think he's banking on that.
Yeah.
And which is fine, so you postpone it a few months, you end your storylines now, however you have to, and now you build up 2 more months of fresh storylines. Make them better.
All right. Now, real quick here, Christopher Mace brought up Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns was apparently tested, as was a lot of other people there, but there's no report about him testing positive, to my knowledge, for the coronavirus. I mean, he is obviously at risk a little bit more because of the leukemia battle. There was something I wanted to say, and now I'm blanking out on it. I think maybe WWE should just have WrestleMania when they're able to perform in front of a large crowd again. Whenever they get the clearance to go into a 15,000-seat arena, whenever that date is, WrestleMania happens. It might be on the spur of the moment. And maybe you can keep your key matches just in place, like Brock Lesnar versus Drew McIntyre. That will happen when WrestleMania happens. Edge versus Randy Orton, that'll happen when WrestleMania happens. And for some of the lesser storylines, you can just keep moving with those. Freeze your top storylines, and then just try to keep something going on television as far as storylines go. And then whenever WWE gets the green light to go back to an arena, that show is WrestleMania.
Yes.
Well,
And Aaron, you go ahead, Jeff.
yeah, I meant to bring this up sooner because I just traveled out of state, so I have this. If everybody's so worried about people going home and staying home and then not going to work, my work is in the next room. I go to work. I can get my stuff done. These guys are flying from Georgia, from Texas, from wherever, into these cities or into Florida to do the PC shows. Who's to say they're not going home and contracting it from God knows who in their neighborhood?
Yeah. Now, imagine if just one top guy tests positive for the coronavirus. Like, let's say Roman Reigns did test positive. I think they would have to shut down the show again. Like, I don't even think they could go forward with WrestleMania.
Yeah,
If they could just wait it out.
I said earlier, I'm of the opinion they should just completely shut down.
Off season. I mean,
Completely
I
just say,
suggested this.
No.
See, they need to wait this out because think about this. As soon as, like Aaron said, as soon as this stuff is lifted and we're in the clear and you can have, maybe it's too much of a scramble to do a stadium show, right, when you postponed it, they can book like a Madison Square Garden. Could you imagine if WWE was the first act in the United States to do a big show once it's allowed again and it was WrestleMania?
Yeah.
That could, and you do like a garden. I know it sucks for Tampa, but guess what? Go back to Tampa. Well, I don't know how Vince's relationship is with Tampa, but go back to Tampa in a few years. Like, go back there because this didn't happen this year. That would be huge if they waited and they went to an arena, the first sporting event or entertainment act that did something big after all of this.
Hold those key matches in place, and as soon as WWE gets clearance, and it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be New York. It could be any major arena in the country. Yeah. As soon as an arena says, you're good to go, we could do 15,000 people, bam, that's WrestleMania. First event to take place after the coronavirus. I think that would be huge, and that would be a big celebration for everybody. So maybe that's an idea for WWE, but yeah, it would suck for some of the mid-card talents if their storylines for WrestleMania were just dropped. But I think the key would be to freeze the top storylines. And let's face it, Brock doesn't even do much as it is. So it's not like it's that difficult to put that on ice for a couple of months. Now, we do have a couple of super chats here. Mike D with a $5 super chat. He's going off topic on us. Off topic, but does involve Tampa Bay. Tom Brady just signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
What?
Jeff, you did not know that?
No, I'm totally isolated. I had no idea what's going on. I'm not guy.
Authentic reaction from Jeff.
Well, there you go,
Beecham.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Dude, and Jeff, did this all happen with Mania not happening in Tampa because they couldn't have it all, so they were getting Tom Brady as a consolation prize?
Dude, if they're losing Mania, that's a hell of a consolation prize. Holy shit.
No, it is 40-some-year-old Tom Brady, but still.
Yeah. Now,
but you know what? Even how old is Tom? 40-something. Even 40-something-year-old Tom Brady is still better than half these damn quarterbacks they got now. So
interesting. If that is true.
Yeah. Well, apparently it
if
is.
it's true, right? Yeah.
Now, 2682 Shark just said there probably will not be any big crowds until next year. I really hope that's not the case. This is going to be a really rough year. If this shit doesn't end by June, we're in trouble. Like, it's not going to be a good year for wrestling.
I've said it before, WWE is not too big to fail. And if that were the case, if they couldn't have a live crowd for a year, oh my God. Yeah. The thing is, because they're such a big corporation, if they start losing money hand over fist, people start pulling out stock-wise, and they will start losing all of it.
Yeah, they still got the network. People are going to be trapped inside, so they got the network. They still have their TV deals with Fox and USA, so they just got to put something on the channel
that are probably insured. And Fox and USA can say, well, since you're not bringing in, for one, any new television, and for two, viewers, we're going to cut you off, cut our losses, take our insurance claim, and we're going to put something else on. Everything's insured nowadays. You know, like WWE could go under. Like people could take out. Why would I keep the network? Why would I keep the network when I don't get pay-per-views every month?
Well, I honestly, and I said this at the beginning when they launched the network 6 years ago, I didn't purchase the network subscription strictly for the $10 pay-per-views. Yes, that was a huge caveat. But, you know, to this day, I'm still watching, you know, I'm doing a WCW watch along, you know, I'm watching WCW stuff every day, or I haven't broken the ECW catalog yet. I'm going to be doing ECW watch along until next year. So,
yeah, but how many more people are like me where without the pay-per-views, it's not worth $10 a month?
Exactly. They're very, very much so people on your side of that fence and my side. So it's, you know, I think their bottom line will be so undervalued that they will end up going belly up if it goes longer than a few months.
All right. Now, Mo Camera, everyone's favorite contributor, sent in two $2.79 super chats. First of all, he said, "Hey, Baron, have you seen 3 from Hell?" And then he said, "Hey, Baron, have you seen Jeepers Creepers 3? I haven't seen either of those. DJ Whitey with we have 2 serious questions here. DJ Whitey with a $5 super chat says, "Just take advantage of the max and have 50 people there, guys. 50 people is better than nobody, right? You at least have some type of live reaction, right?" Well, that's 50 people, including the talent, production, and all that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's really no way to pull that off at this time. Maybe 250 you could pull off a small crowd, but hopefully WWE can at least in a couple of weeks be able to fill up the Performance Center to its capacity, 500 or whatever it is. The game is on 100 with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, "If WrestleMania is changed to a different date, what about Cena's schedule to affect the Bray Wyatt match?" Very good point there. That match might have to be sacrificed on TV and not be saved for WrestleMania. Because, John Cena might not be available on the spur of the moment to do that match. So, very good point there.
Well, also keep in mind, I saw a report, I think it was a couple of days ago, where Fast 9's delayed or whatever the hell number they're on now because of this whole thing going on. So, he's not doing that movie right now. So, will he be doing any movies right now or on any kind of TV schedule or movie schedule where he has to be away? So,
yeah. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, "Breaking news, EC3 is still less over than Impact." Oh, man. Why do you got to do...
Disagree.
Why do you disagree?
Because I actually care what happens to EC3 right now. I haven't watched Impact in 2 months.
Well, fair enough. Virtue, what do you think?
Who's EC3?
Touche.
I mean, poor guy, not his fault, but it just sucks.
They're absolutely equal in my mind. Like, I could care less about it.
There you go. Yeah.
You mean you could not care less?
That's it. We pretty much covered it. Like, we will have to stay tuned to the latest on NoDQ.com about this developing situation heading into April 5th. Right now, for the record, I'm going to say it's not going to happen, and it's going to get. And Vince McMahon hopes it's canceled so he can still do his whole Mania weekend, another weekend down the road. It would just be so weird. Like, if this happens April 5th, we're sitting there watching it, I'm just going to be in disbelief that this is how we're watching WrestleMania. It's going to be nuts.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not a 7-hour show if they're doing it all at the Performance Center. But we've all talked about that. It would be a bad idea. Stick to the key 8 or 9 matches. I think they've announced 8. Maybe they could add a tag match. That should be it. I think.
Just
Plus,
don't send it to Saudi Arabia, please.
I don't. First of all, I think there's nothing to that room. I don't think they could do that anyways. I don't think they could travel back and forth. I think Saudi Arabia has a ban as well.
No, but down the road, like they have more Saudi shows in the future. Don't put a WrestleMania there. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. But yeah, I don't even think at this time WWE could do like a battle royal. I don't think you can have 20 guys in there, with including the production people and anything. So I think those matches are going to be out unless, of course, the restrictions ease up in the coming weeks. But, again, everything changes on a daily basis. Next week we could be talking about all sorts of different scenarios.
Why not do a WrestleMania 36 like WrestleMania 2 and have different cities that we have a different amount of people in each building?
50 people in each building. There you go.
Well, we saw.
Have 50 venues across the country.
There you go. WrestleMania or 30. How about WrestleMania 36 in 36 different cities?
Brilliant.
There you go.
Simulcast Raw was a train wreck. I don't think they want to try that again.
That's true. Oh, you know what? For '86, the simulcast at WrestleMania was not that bad. The match quality itself in the card was a train wreck, but the transitions between cities was actually not that bad.
And by the way, what I said made no sense, not because there's no 36 matches. I'm not giving WWE any suggestions, by the way, with that.
Thanks God, no.
You could do like 9 different cities with a different match in each city in a 50-seat building or something like that.
There you go.
Well, like I said, we're going to, as of right now, it's happening on April 5th in front of nobody but the production crew and the wrestlers at the Performance Center. So stay tuned. That's all I can say. We will be talking about this as it heads closer and closer and closer. So with that said, we'll go around, and usually we end up chatting more after this. We'll go around and do our plugs. So Stefan, I will start with you.
Well, you can find me on Twitter. Go to nodq.com/Stefan. That's STEFAN. Or if you just want to look me up, it's at Stefan R. Osborne, OSBORNE. As always, the R stands for restricted. You can find me and my partner, the gentleman Jerry Slaughter, on our channel, Aftermatch Wrestling, all one word, AFTERMATCH, wrestling. And
that picture of him with the clean shave, is that recent?
Yeah, that was today, I believe.
Oh wow! Are you next?
No, no. Hell no! This has taken 6 years, sir.
Well, I mean,
6
I've
years.
never seen Jerry without that beard. So it's
I know.
Total shock when I saw that on Facebook.
I told him he looks like he's visiting Pawnee, Indiana from Venezuela.
Oh jeez.
I hope some people get that joke. You can find us at Aftermatch on YouTube. That's where we review NXT and NXT UK. And we have guests on for NXT UK. If you'd like to join us, if you watch NXT UK, we'd love to put you on this screen right here and help us review an episode. So leave down in the comments or find us on the channel. All
right, we do have a $2 super chat from This Guy Experience. He says, if WrestleMania goes on in the PC, just have 4 to 5 matches. Well, the problem is they've already announced 8. So they're doing 8 minimum. They're not going to get rid of any matches unless, of course, that scenario where John Cena cannot do a postponed WrestleMania. They'll throw that on TV, and most likely it's going to be 8 to 9 matches. I don't think they're doing 16, though, at least at the Performance Center. Now, if WrestleMania gets postponed, they may decide, okay, we can do what we originally planned and do 16 matches. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. So, Stefan, you good with the plugs?
Yeah. All my other plugs, if you want to see them, they're on my channel at the end of the videos. Yeah, I have a long plug regimen, so I'll just cut it
Jeff, the West Coast Professor Meacham.
Yes, sir. At _Jeff Meacham on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me at NoDQ.com/Jeff, JEFF, not GEOFF. Anchor.fm /Jeff-Meacham for the podcast. and Aaron's showing it right now. I appreciate that on the screen caps. I appreciate that. You can also find me. The Instagram for the network is the Jeff Meacham Network, one word, at JMeach Podcast on Twitter. Right now we've got Wrestling Rewind in production with Greg. We're supposed to be doing the NWO versus Austin Rock match from WrestleMania back in 2002. I don't know if it's going to happen or not because he and I are both busy with other stuff and doing Meach and Museums. I did that the other day, and Talk Wrestling, of course. teespring.com/stores/The Night Shift. You can find the Meachamania shirts. Yes, they are a real thing. Somebody, a good friend of mine from elementary school, hit me up on Instagram and offered to do our graphic designs for the network. And I said, sure. He comes back with the exact recreation of the NoDQ.com's Instagram post of Hogan doing the tear with the Meachamania. And I was like, oh my God. It comes in red, yellow, and a T, and black with yellow, black with red, and red with yellow in a tank top. So check that out. Buy the shirt, as we say on Wrestling Rewind. There you go.
Well, thank you, Jeff. Aaron, last words.
All right. Big Rocker Johnson with the $2 super chat says, at least know this is awesome chance. Unless WWE decides to pipe them in, which they always could. Never say never. I mean, who knows what they're going to do? Maybe they will try to get some of the hardcore fans that they trust to be part of WrestleMania somehow, where they can use a soundboard and get everybody's live reactions mixed into the sound and have crowd reactions that way. They could do any number of things. Who knows? But anyways,
technology is there.
Yeah, they may come up with something. Never say never. Make sure you guys stay tuned to NoDQ.com. Lots of news up on the site. A lot going on. Things are changing on a daily basis. I'm pretty much posting around the clock. I posted something at 4 a.m. the other day, so it's pretty much all hours of the day for me. There's stuff going on. I'm trying to keep you guys as updated as possible. At NoDQ, DOTCOM on all social media. You can follow NoDQ, turn on your alerts, get them straight to your phone, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, what if WrestleMania is simulated and live streamed on WWE 2K20? Well,
Glitchamania.
Yeah, that would be glitchy AF, but hey.
The Kings are doing right now for their games.
At least you'd have some crowd sound. There you go.
Exactly.
All right, so that's it. Thank you guys all for watching. We really do appreciate it. Virtue, let's go ahead and wrap it up.
You can follow me on Twitter. You can troll with me on Twitter at NoDQ_Virtue. I will continue to give my thoughts on there daily of this whole situation. So be sure to go to NoDQ.com to stay up to the latest. Aaron will keep you updated for that. So for Stephen Osborne, for Jeff Meacham, for Aaron Rift, I am Virtue, and we will see you next time. Bye.